Hi, my name is Mitch Boyer. I run a print shop called Nice Art Prints. And in this, the second episode of Print Shop Talk, we're going to talk about the second most important thing in any print shop. Because the first most important thing is the printer. If you're a printer, whether you use a rolling trimmer or go old school with a straight edge and a box cutter, you probably know the pain of making a bad cut on an otherwise perfect print. Having clean cuts and edges on the prints that you make is super important, and that's why today I'm arguing that the paper trimmer you use is the second most important piece of kit in your print shop. Although now that I'm thinking maybe the computer, we're just gonna bundle that up with the printer. I use this. This right here is the Rotatrim Mastercut 2. It's the 36-inch model, and I absolutely love it. Smooth cuts, nice grid, easy to read measurements in both imperial and metric units. This baby, it's a dream. I actually used to have another paper trimmer. You can see it in some of my videos. It had a blue base. If you know about trimmers, you know what brand that is. It was bigger. I can make cuts up to 51 1/8 of an inch. I mean, it works with a little effort. It had its quirks. For example, okay, so on a trimmer, there's this section right here. This section, you push the paper against. It's very important that this section is straight and level, because when you push a piece of paper against it and you make a cut, you want that cut to be 90 degrees. Well, that section was bent on my old trimmer, and so it was more like a 91 degree cut. Not great. So what did I do? Well, I would take the paper and I'd put it on the grid lines, and I had to be really, really careful to make sure that when I lined it up, made a cut, that it was even. Not very efficient, but you know, it worked. The track on this trimmer has 2 tubes, and my old trimmer only had 1, which doesn't seem like that much of a problem, but it is. Because as I would cut down, you see, ooh, look how smooth that is. As I would cut, it would sometimes bow out, and I'd end up with like a convex cut on the edge of the paper. So these two things, like the slightly angled edges and the convex cuts, they're just like two of like several different things that all compounded and just ended up wasting my time, because I'd spend all this time like making a beautiful print, and then I'd take it out and just the stress would begin. Because cutting would be something like this. You know, I put it down, I measure on the grid, I put it to the edge, but I didn't want to cut all the way. I just wanted to just a little bit. And then I cut again a little bit further, because I didn't want to mess up on that final cut right away. And then finally it would be time for the final cut. I'd line it up and cut it. And ooh, if it was okay, then that's great, because now I just have a few more edges to cut. I mean, come on, who has time for that? I've only had this trimmer for a month, and it has changed my life. Because as a printer, you're cutting every single day. Yeah, you could probably understand why I love this Rototrim so much. And I just want to make it clear, this is not a sponsored video. I think we all know this channel is not big enough to have any sponsors. But my point is, I wanted to make a video on the importance of having a good tool. I think it's easy to be distracted by all of the flashy tools in printing, the computers, the printers, the inks, the papers that you use. All that stuff is so important. We can't do our jobs without it. But I think there are a few little guys that are maybe underappreciated, and I think the trimmer is one. And I think it's worth spending just as much time and effort and money making sure you get the right tools for the job in all these other areas. You don't want to be like me and my first trimmer, because if you do, you might buy something and realize what you have just doesn't cut it. If I could wink, I would be doing the wink right now. That's it for episode 2 of Print Shop Talk. Thank you so much for watching. Down in the comments, let me know what print shop tool you think is underrated or undervalued. I'd love to see it. And while you're down there, like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. That way the YouTube algorithm will send more viewers to my dad jokes. Also, each week I print a picture sent in from one of the viewers and I ship it to them. This week I printed this picture by John. You can watch the whole video. I'll put the link in the description. If you want me to print your picture, all you have to do is follow Nice Art Prints on Instagram and send me a message with the picture and a little description, maybe a little bio of yourself. Maybe you'll be next. That's it for this episode of Print Shop Talk. I'll see you around. Don't buy a cheap rolling trimmer.